Why do you think there is so much hate against people who are very successful?
Just this fake sense of ego that everybody wants to believe about themselves, that they are better than others.
So I feel I'm better than you, so I'll put you down.
Yes. There's a life that has been given to us. We have to reach somewhere in that life. We don't know what is good for us. Surrender is just letting go of the illusion of the control that you thought you had.
A part of your ego needs to die.
Yeah.
How scary is it? So when you work with the actors, when they come for a workshop, Ranveer Singh, after Padmavat, right? That role that he did, he said it took some time for him to get out of the depression. How does an actor process that?
So every part that you do, like some percentage of it can remain in you. And a lot of times these things also happen very subconsciously without you being aware of what you're picking and what you're doing.
When it comes to star kids, there's so much hate and there's so much trolling. How is it affecting their psyche on a different level?
Very badly. They enter the room thinking they are shit.
Do they feel guilty for the privilege that they have?
100%. So a lot of actors have a need to be loved.
Don't you think all of us have that need?
Damn. I've watched.
Oh my God, so many questions are popping up. I'm going to start off with the freedom, right? I think innately, every human being, why do they want a lot of money? Why do they want a great relationship? Everything boils down to them feeling free. So if the core purpose of our nature is to feel free, why do you think we're counterintuitive?
Because we are looking for it in the wrong place.
Okay.
That's the whole problem. We feel that it is all of these external things that will come and complete us. And we are never looking at the space that actually requires completion. Look at a tree. You know what? Okay, this is what we do. And I include myself in it. You know, every time I'm saying these things, don't think like, oh, I am gone past it. I am also a victim of all of these things. Maybe lesser with time as I grow. I feel like, okay, this is my tree. Now I need this branch to have this color and this nutrient, and I want this branch to have this, the fruit to have this, the flower to have this. And what we keep doing is we keep watering the branch, the leaf, the flower, the fruit. And what we forget is that all we need to do is water the roots. So once we understand that it is the roots that need work and not the branch, not the flower and the fruit, the game changes. Everything changes. So this realization comes to not too many people, but to those who it comes and those who act upon it and make it a commitment and a priority in their life, they start experiencing true joy and true happiness and true freedom.
Now, what are these roots in real life?
I think it applies more to, I'm not being sexist here when I say this, it applies more to women because I feel women have more low self-esteem issues and men have more entitlement. You know, so men need to work on their entitlement and women need to work on low self-worth because, and again, I'm not to say that women are lesser than men and that's why they feel like that. It's centuries of conditioning. It's the genetic coding. It's it's all of those things that are built within us. So as a woman, you grow up, you're conditioned to feel a certain way. You're conditioned to, when you see that your brother is being treated different from you, very subliminally, you've already started taking all those signals within yourself. You know, so every time you see it happening, you on the face of it, because you're a independent urban woman, you will say, I'm strong, I'm this, I'm free. But deep within, you don't believe it completely.
And because we don't believe it completely, how does it come across?
It comes across often as wanting to project that you have it.
Wow. Okay. So if you're really self-assured and confident, you're not going to walk around saying you're self-assured and confident.
Yes.
You're just going to be.
So the people who are actually self-assured and confident never talk about it. Ever. Because you just know it. And those who don't, they want to hear. So they will bring it up in some form.
They have a need to prove.
Yes. A need for somebody else to validate it.
Because they don't believe that about themselves completely.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just so crazy. So now it brings me to the next question of mind. I believe everything in this world has a purpose. You have a purpose, I have a purpose, this mic has a purpose. Let's say the mic's purpose is to amplify our voice, but I've been using this mic to hit somebody, so using it for a completely different thing. So do you think the purpose of a mind that was given to us in this world to navigate through life was something else, but we've been using mind for something else, and for some reason the mind has consumed us and we have started to believe that we are the mind? So if that is the case, what was the actual purpose of the mind?
I mean, firstly, 100% true what you're saying. And as I was mentioning earlier also, this is one of the main things that I work on with people who come and participate in my workshops. Okay, I mean, this is one example I often give, so I'll give the same example. This hand has been given to us. Why? Because it's a tool. It's a tool to grasp, to pick. I can't brush my teeth without it. I can't eat my food without it. I cannot write without it. I can't do I can't open a door without it. There are so many things that this hand achieves for us as a tool. Now, if this same hand, let's say I'm talking to you, and while I'm talking to you, it is slapping me. Imagine. Thought. And I'm normal. I'm talking to you as if it's the most normal thing on the planet.
Okay.
But was the hand supposed to do that? No. The hand is supposed to be, okay, right now you're talking, so I need to gesture, and by habit, my hand is moving wherever it is supposed to move. Now it's resting on my chin, something else to expect. It opens up, then it closes. But what the mind does is, it is slapping us 24/7, and we have normalized it so much that we think that's the way to exist.
Yes.
So the mind is also a tool like any other. The mind, without mind, we cannot exist.
Correct.
It's very important. But we are not the mind. The mind is like the hand or the heart or the leg. It is one of many tools that has been given to us to live,
right,
and to function,
right,
as a normal, intelligent human being.
Right.
In every animal also, a survival instinct is built in. Imagine like a chip that was built inside you for a survival instinct. It is there in animals also. That's why when an animal steps out at night, it is like, somebody's going to eat me. I need to be slow, otherwise I'll be eaten. And they need it.
Okay.
They need it because there is an animal there.
Okay.
And you need to be slow and quiet.
Okay.
Otherwise you will be eaten up.
Okay.
That same chip is inside human beings also.
Okay.
Okay. Every time we step out of the house, we're like, okay, somebody's going to take advantage of me. But nobody's going to take advantage of you. It's your imagination. It's your fear. Now, where did this fear come from? This fear came from some experiences you've had in your life. So in the past, whether you were a child, and the ones which happen when you're children are the most hard-coded. When you were a teenager, a child, an adult, certain experiences, certain traumatic experiences happened in your life. And now your brain, because of its capacity to decode traumatic events and also make a survival instinct for the future, has conditioned itself to believe that this is going to happen again.
So it's constantly scanning for circumstances that could resemble what happened in the first place to keep ourselves safe.
Yes.
Got it.
So we are always trying to protect ourselves, and we are not living, we are only existing. So this is not what the mind is supposed to do. Because we are not animals, and there are no other bigger animals out there to eat us. Of course, there are people who can be mean, and when you recognize it, you can step away. But it's not so bad. For most people, I would say. Okay, there are some people who are in genuinely those kind of situations. But for 99% of humanity, it's not like that. But we keep on living, believing that those traumatic events are waiting for us.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for us, and hence, the biggest thing that we do is we shut our heart. We close our heart. That's why most people, the biggest difference between adults and children is children have an open heart and adults have a closed heart. And most adults have a closed heart. Some have a little closed heart, some have like completely jammed closed hearts.
The heart is closed because they're scared if they're open, they'll become vulnerable and they'll go through the pain once again.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are ways to, and which is where meditation really helps, breath work really helps. There are ways to recognize what your mind is doing to you, to start understanding the meaning of the difference between what it is to indulge in your thoughts and what is it to witness your thoughts. Firstly, every thought that comes in our head is not us. I think that's the most important thing we need to recognize, because we're always thinking this is a thought that's come to me, so this is me. It's not you. Your thoughts are only a function of everything that you're consuming around you.
Yes.
They're not you.
Yes.
And we are also living in a day and age where that consuming is at another humongous level.
Yes. The consumption is just too much. Yeah.
The amount of data that we are putting in. If we think we have doom scrolled for half an hour and have gone through, let's say, 500 reels in half an hour, those 500 reels have not disappeared. Your mind is processing them. Even if you saw something for 1 second, your mind will process it. It's the job of the mind. The mind will process anything that is fed to it. So it's very important to be mindful of what we feed to the mind and what we are giving it to consume. It makes a huge difference. That's why when people go off social media for 2-3 months, they feel like such a difference, such a huge difference.
Okay. So I'm no actor. But I've always been fascinated with people who give great performances. So my question, I'll also tell you why I have this question. So who is Gayathri? Gayathri is a bunch of repeated thoughts that she's had about herself, her stories that she's been repeating to herself. Her identity is created because of that, because of repetition over the last 33 years. Now, if I rip off everything, I'm left with something which my mind cannot comprehend at this point of time. My question is, let's say in a movie, an actor has to become the character. If the actor has to become the character, they have to become the identity of the character in a span of 3 to 6 months. How can we actually do that? Number one, the reason why I'm asking you this is because in the process of manifestation, what I strongly believe is, I don't believe in this aspect of fake it till you make it. I believe in the aspect of become that version, become the vibrational match. Whatever you want will naturally start to come for you in your life. So now how can I use the same techniques that you use with an actor? In 2 to 3 months, they become a completely different version. They go on set, they are living as the character, so that, for example, if I want to become a different version of myself, I can start implementing that.
Art is very, very, very beautiful, because one of the purposes of art is evolution. Evolution first of the artist, and then everybody who consumes their art.
Okay.
So I feel whenever you get any part or any job in your life, to do the best job of it, you have to leave Gayathri behind. You said, okay, Gayathri is this, that. I come from a belief that we all have beautiful lives and beautiful stories and beautiful narratives and experiences. But there is something in all of us which is much more beautiful than just our narrative and our story. And that something I call the true self. The word I give it sometimes is the consciousness, because that's like a easy, relatable word. It's a very impalpable thing. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it does. You don't even know whether it exists. Only if you experience it sometimes do you know it's there, right? So I believe there's something called life and something called lifetime. Now Gayathri is the lifetime. Atul is the lifetime. But there's something inside you which is life, and something inside me which is life. Now, if you want to reach somewhere, function from life and not from lifetime. Because lifetime will come with its limitations. I'm telling you this because as an artist, when we work with actors, so let's say an actor has done work for 10 years. And now in those 10 years, whatever they have learned, they're bringing all of that experience into their next art form, which is good and it has a lot of value. That is one way to do it. But it is still just 10 years of your experience. In fact, the more we start believing in the myth of those 10 years, the more mechanical, repetitive, as well as pompous we start becoming. But if we approach that same part even after 10, 15 years, thinking it's the first time I'm acting. Like when I step into a workshop, I don't take the baggage of I've done this for 20 years. That baggage is never there. It's like, okay, these are a new set of people. They will have their own set of things that they need to learn and go past. And my job is to be with them and help it identify, not bring the baggage of, I've been doing this for 20 years, so I know.
So how do you do that? You consciously do a process to leave the baggage behind, or is
Yes.
it you
So now I don't need to do it anymore.
Okay, you've done it enough number of times.
I've done it enough number of times for it to become second nature.
Okay. Again, what made you leave that baggage behind in the first place?
Because I did realize that baggage is very, very, very limited. This tiny mind is trying to think it's very intelligent and wanting to solve things because he thinks what it should be. But the other way is, I just go there and I don't exist. My experience does not exist. All I have to do is just be one with myself and be one with the person in front of me. And if I'm functioning from that consciousness in that moment, then whatever the universe wants to tell to that person in that moment, I become the medium for it.
Yes, through you. Yes.
So the moment I think I am doing it and it's coming from me, it may not be bad, it may be decent, but it may not be what they need.
So in order for you to get to a point where you're very conscious about the fact that you are the medium and the universe is working through you to give the message what they need to know, a part of your ego needs to die.
Yeah.
Isn't that painful? At least in the initial days when you had to let go of it.
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, for me, it was, the execution was difficult because we are not able to achieve it always because ego keeps coming in the way. But the recognition that the ego achieves nothing came very easy to me. That part wasn't tough.
Okay.
But the execution was tough because the ego will come. So again, ego is something that a lot of people are not able to recognize what it means. It essentially means deep sense of identifications outside of ourselves. So wherever we identify ourselves very deeply outside of ourselves, that is ego. So like, say an actor is very passionate about acting, then their ego is in acting, their identity is in acting. It's like, suppose you're an actor and I say, your scene didn't go well, and you're like so rattled, either you're angry or you're deeply upset. Why? Because you drew your sense of self from that. But if I told you, okay, Gayatri, this khichdi you made was okay, thoda namak zyada tha, you'll be like, fine. Why? Because cooking is not important for you.
Right.
So it's those things where our identity lies. That's where we get shaken. That's where we are not objective. Those are the spaces that we need to work on. And those are the places where our ego lies.
Got it. So now we go back to the process of you leave your baggage behind and you walk in as a fresh person, right? And then how does the embodiment of that particular character happen after this?
The more stress you will carry within you, the more wanting to do well and being perfect you will carry within you, the more self-doubt you will carry within you, the least you will reach that character. And the more surrender with which you'll want to go there, the easier it will be to reach there, the more effortless it will be. So it is always those artists who are wanting to control and make things happen. You will always find their performances to be very effortful. And it is always those actors who are very relaxed, are very easy about the process and not taking stress. I need to do a good job. Those will be the most effortless performances.
Where is the need to be a perfectionist coming from?
There is a void that exists in all of us. And had that void not existed in us, none of us would have gone into the pursuance of truth.
So the void was necessary.
Somewhere it is necessary, because without that void, the journey of truth cannot begin.
The void kind of makes you long for something, and in the pursuit of filling that void, you kind of understand the truth.
So very few people will realize this. With most people, and that's what consumerism works on. Consumerism works on the fact that we all have a void and everybody has a product ready to fill that void in us.
Which is the temporary fix.
Yes.
Okay.
So most people are going for the temporary fixes. I also do it. I also go for temporary fixes. We all do it. All of us will want to buy that one thing which we think will complete us.
Yes.
Like I have a wish list of a car that I want to buy, and someday I will buy that car because I feel, this is me, and I like cars. I want to buy a good car. So I also have it. We all have it. But as long as we realize that this is just temporary, this is not fixing my problem. To fix my problem, there's another work that I have to do. As long as that work we are doing, it's fine.
So when we start doing that work, don't you think we will kind of let go of all of these attachments that we have towards things that were a temporary fix in the past?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We just have a more healthier relationship with it.
Okay, we enjoy it.
But we will let go of things that we never needed in the first case.
Okay.
Those things we let go of, but the things that we needed, they will remain, and they will remain with a far more healthier relationship with it.
Okay. So now you were talking to me about how we have started to believe that the mind slapping us, that analogy that you gave me, that's normal, right? I read it in a book. It was a great book by this person called Rupert Spira. He speaks about how, like, health is a default setting of the body. Happiness is actually the default setting of the mind. And he gives an example saying, for example, let's say you've had Kaju Katli. He does not use Kaju Katli. I'm using Kaju Katli for the reference. You've had one of the best Kaju Katlis in the entire world when you were 6 years old or 7 years old. You know the taste of how that specific Kaju Katli feels. All your life, you're going shop after shop to only just be disappointed about the fact that I didn't get what I had when I was young. If you did not even know what the essence of the sweet was, you would not keep running or longing for that.
Yes.
So we all essentially know how it feels to be in that state of bliss.
Yes.
We know how it feels to be in that state of ease. And a constant search in life is to figure out what is that I can have so that it can get me back to that space. But the problem is we've been looking for all of them in the external things, only to be disappointed that these things don't. Probably 1 or 2 days, it gives me that kind of, oh my God, I feel so good.
Yeah.
So for somebody who's on this journey, who's understood, okay, there is something inside of me that is constantly making me long for that essence, how do they start? Or where do they start?
There is no one way to do it. I think for every person, it may vary because all our lives are so different from one another. Like I can see that want is there in you very deeply.
Yeah.
Like it's there very, very deeply. You want to know that truth. You want to be in it. You want that freedom and peace.
Yes.
So this desire is going to take you there. I always believe that as long as this is your number one or one of your top priorities in life, you will find a way. But if it's not a priority in your life, you will not find it. It's as simple as that. But those who prioritize, the universe will keep sending you signals, will keep sending you opportunities and doors to open and walk through. So when those opportunities come, and if that desire deep within for the truth and for that, that nectar is still alive in that moment, you will walk through the door in that moment. So a lot of it is whether how much do you want it and how much do you recognize that this is the most important thing, and everything else is actually temporary. So a lot of it will come from there. The other is, I would definitely say meditation really helps. Because, and also people don't understand what meditation is, and that's why they don't ever do it. Like I've had so many people who've come to my workshop and said, I've never done it. So firstly, we never call it meditation.
Okay.
We always say, okay, let's do some breath work. So it becomes much easier.
And you just told me the universe will show you path and you'll have to walk through the path for you to get to that point. But while I'm walking through that door, how scary is it?
Honestly, it is difficult. It's not easy. Let me also tell you when those doors will open and come our way. It's when we are pursuing a life of being truthful.
Okay.
Because in every single day, we are given millions of choices, and the choices that we make decide which direction our life will move into. So in fact, the only human will that a human being has is the choice that one makes. And the choice of not only picking between two or more things, but also the choice of how we respond to everything that happens to us. And within these two things, you can almost say all of life and your path and your journey will be determined by these two things. How, what choices did you make when two or more were given to you? And how did you choose to respond when certain circumstances came in your life?
But me responding to the choice that has been offered to me, sometimes it is very subconscious, right? Not sometimes, most of the times it is very subconscious. Depending on what my belief system is about me, depending on what my belief system is about the world, I'm going to make a choice. So now what I want to understand is, for example, let's say I'm looking at you. Being an actor is probably not something that is inspiring. But because everybody on the social media now is saying, oh, you have to become an actor. I'm giving an example. You have to become an actor. You have to become an actor. I feel, okay, even I have to become an actor. And I walk that path. What is the difference between somebody who genuinely wants to become an actor and walking that path and somebody who thinks they want to become an actor and walking that path? What is the difference between both of them?
The difference is assurance and self-doubt.
Even when things are not working out for them.
When we are more assured, then we don't doubt ourselves. And when we doubt ourselves, then we want to listen to what others want us to do and not what we really want.
And the assurance comes only when you do the things that you genuinely want to do.
That, and also by going a bit inwards. I think we all live our lives going outwards, whereas what we need to do is go inwards. And once we go inwards, and when we start conquering that world instead of that world, things start changing for us.
How did your journey start going inwards?
Around the age of 19, 17 actually.
Okay.
But yeah, around that time.
What are your insecurities?
I think one definitely was not so much, abhi bhi hai, but it's slightly better now, was to not be a mediocre artist. That was one of my biggest insecurities, that I want to be an artist who produces something of value. Which is why I think, like, as an artist, I've not been able to reach where I should, and I've not been able to do very well because I am bringing myself in the process.
Okay.
Because my ego is coming in the process. Whereas as a trainer, as a mentor, I don't have that. I don't have my identity in it. So I feel I'm better at that job, and I've also grown more in that job. So yeah, one is this need for this ambition to create good art is like a big insecurity for me. Sometimes I would also say, again, I'm not sure if this is an insecurity, but again, being alone is not always easy. So sometimes I feel the need for one partner in my life. So I feel I want to reach a place where I don't have like even 1% need for another person in my life.
Okay.
But right now it's not like that. Like, okay. I sometimes do. I know we are social beings and we all need people, and I get that. But at a very deep core level, I don't want the need to have another person in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the two things that I definitely feel I need to get better at.
What is your outlook about relationships?
They're beautiful, okay, if done the right way. There's actually a definition that I love, which says that two people who are capable of being without each other choose to be with one another. That is love, and that is a good relationship. So as long as a relationship is not for you to complete yourself with the other person, as long as it's not that, it's great. But when we are always seeking completion through another, then it can become complicated, and then it can become problematic. And unfortunately, that's 99% of all relationships.
Do you think that's coming from a place because they are incapable of completing themselves?
Yeah, largely.
And working on completing themselves is a lot more effort compared to using somebody else to complete you.
Yes.
What is the purpose of life?
I think it would be different for everybody. I can only share what I believe is the purpose of life from my perspective. It is about recognizing what is true and becoming the truth.
What is your truth?
There is no one way to say what is my truth. All I can say is that there's always an inner voice which tells you what is right
Mm.
and what is the honest way to be. And as long as I keep listening to that voice and walking that path,
Mm.
I will eventually reach my truth.
Do you believe in multiple lifetimes?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
If that is the case, do you feel the work that you're doing right now, not with respect to cinema, not with respect to acting, the inner work that you've been doing right now, you've been doing it for enough number of lifetimes for you to be where you are right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you the first time one of the reasons, I told you at the age of 19, something just switched. And when that switched, many changes happened, which a 19-year-old can't have.
Mm.
So I did realize that this is not Atul.
Mm.
This is something beyond Atul.
Mm.
Whatever is happening to me is beyond this lifetime.
Mm.
So that was my first recognition of the fact that probably there are other lifetimes also. And once when I was in my mid-20s, I did a past life regression therapy. Only once I've done it. And it was actually quite strong. And I resonated with that a lot, with whatever I saw, that it had to be true.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would not have felt so much with that experience. So that's how I believe in this, because of few experiences like this.
So when you say recognition of, previously also you mentioned recognition of the ego, right? So when I try to understand recognition, it's coming from two places. One is an intellectual understanding of what is happening. The second thing is an experiential understanding of what is happening. What do you mean by recognition? That I have this, I have these limitations, I'm recognizing.
Awareness.
Okay.
I mean awareness when I'm saying recognizing that. To be aware that all this is happening to you.
It's just not a mental awareness, like you know it.
So awareness is not mental. Awareness is being present with your entire being. Whereas mental is just mind. So awareness is deeper than thinking and analyzing and all of those things, because all of those things only involve the mind, whereas awareness involves the being.
And the mind cannot understand awareness.
No, it can't grasp.
Okay. So, the next question is about choice and surrendering. So when I did the podcast with Satyakam, he spoke something very profound, which changed my perspective about choice and surrendering. And I want to ask your perception about the same thing. He said, Gayatri, when you ask the universe for something, the universe will give it to you. But what most people are not okay with is whatever choice you make, whatever it gives you, it comes with the consequences. But when you surrender and tell the universe, you do whatever you want, all that I want and beg for is my connection with you. So I want to establish this connection. You do whatever you want. So you typically not asking, I want this, I want this. So in the second case, you have a lot of freedom. Because no consequences, you've not asked for something. All that you need is a beautiful feeling that you have because of the connection. But in the first case, you're actually bound to the consequences of it. What is your opinion on this?
Exact same. And to be very honest, I say the same thing. That for me, like another way of looking, because surrender often is a word that is very misunderstood, especially with the Western connotation of it. Surrender is not about being lazy, complacent, or giving up, or any of those things. Surrender is just letting go of the illusion of the control that you thought you had.
Okay.
Because we all feel we have control and we drive our lives, especially people who are very ambitious, people who live with in the quest of perfection. All of these people really struggle with surrender. But it's the easiest thing to do and the most effective thing to do, if you ask me. Because again, like I said, we can either function from the mind or we can function from this true self, the consciousness. And surrender is what allows us to function from that consciousness. Whereas the lack of that surrender will always want the mind to be in control. So it's only when we try it do we understand what it can do for us. I often say कि अभी तक तुमने इतना सोचा कि लाइफ में सब हो जाए, देख लिया, did it work for you? Are you happy, or do you want to try something else? So I say to myself also, not to sound like I don't have that issue. So when I say it, I'm saying it to myself also, that I've tried everything. So let's try surrender also once. It's really beautiful. There's a life that has been given to us. We have to reach somewhere in that life. We don't know what is good for us. None of us knows what is good for us. I mean, if I ask you, just go 15 years back, the choices you were making, the decisions you were making, the kind of person you were, if you were that person today, or when you look back at that person, don't you see how immature sometimes you were, and how stupid you were, and how you knew, but actually you didn't know.
Exactly.
But at that time, we thought we knew everything. If you go and ask that 15-year back Gayatri, do you think you know? You'll be like, yeah, I know. And if I ask myself also, do you know? I'll be like, yeah, I know. But we don't know. We don't know anything. We just want to have the illusion that we know. But we actually don't know. And what surrender allows us is to flow with where the universe wants to take us. And the universe knows better than us.
Do you think a lot of people have challenge in believing that the universe has a better path for us than the path that we have for us?
Yeah, of course, it's very difficult. It's not easy to surrender. It's very tough to surrender.
Okay.
Surrender is always directly correlated. The lack of surrender is always directly correlated to how many deep identifications we have outside of ourselves. There's a direct correlation between these two. That's why one of the things we always talk about is reduce your identities and reduce your attachments. Because all of misery is in identities and attachments. You take anybody on this planet, anybody who's miserable, and most of the times, 99% of the times, their misery is directly connected to the identity or the attachment they have in something outside of them. For example, a lot of my 30s has been about me being miserable. Okay. And it is because I wanted my film to be made, and it was just not happening. Like from the day I made my first short film till the day my first show released, it's a 17-year journey. From directing the first short film to release of the first show, 17 years gap. No, those 17 years are very hard because that's what you want the most. So because what I wanted the most had my identity in it, and it was not happening, 17 years were miserable. And now that I'm like, I don't have my identity in filmmaking, I probably don't even want to make films, and I'm very relaxed right now. If now I ever get to make something, I probably will do it more joyfully also. I'll probably make something better than the last thing also.
Okay.
But that misery has been there because of that identity. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker. Because of that identity. That's why that misery was there. So all of misery in life is because of resistance to something. And all of joy in life is the acceptance of your resistance.
When you say resistance to something, is it resistance to what is happening in the now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Resistance to what is.
What is. I think Eckhart beautifully says this. It is insanity for human beings to actually resist what is happening in the now. Like it is in the now. I mean, but if you take majority of the population, they kind of are not okay with what is happening in the now. The need for me to be somewhere else at this point rather than for me to be in this moment is because of the illusion that I believe that somewhere else will give me more happiness than the now.
Yeah.
But there is nowhere else to be but to be in the now.
So, yes, absolutely. And another perspective I want to add to this, we all think happiness is an emotion. It's not. It is a choice.
Okay.
We think when something will happen, will make us happy.
Yeah.
No, it's because you choose to be happy in something is what will make you happy. So that choice can be made even now, in this moment. It's something very tough to understand.
Yes, I
but
get it.
Actually, once you understand it, it's the simplest thing.
And also, when you place your happiness in something else in the future, when you actually get that, you're placing your happiness in something else in the future.
Because you're choosing to stay miserable, like I did for 17 years.
Okay.
You're choosing to stay miserable, thinking when that happens, you will be happy.
Right.
So choose to be happy. You can be. If I had not put my identity in filmmaking for all those years, I could have been happier. I could have been more joyful. I could have been more present with the people around me. I could have lived life a little bit more and not just reduced myself to one aspect of my life.
But do you think it was also a part of your soul's plan?
100%.
Yeah.
Everything is.
Going through misery is also?
Without that, it's not good. Nothing's going to work out. Nothing's going to happen.
You think a level of suffering is important for awakening to happen?
Difficult times and problems are inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the movies, right? So, in my understanding, my very little understanding about movies and how it works, I see there are two kind of directors. One is who directly spoon feeds you, who says, probably they give a voiceover, they exactly show you the scenes of, okay, this person has this nature, they're very angry, they're this. So as an audience, I exactly know this is what the character graph is. There is another kind of a director. In one particular scene, they're going to depict what the in-depth characteristic of that actor or that character is, just with a couple of conversations and just with them looking at certain things a specific way, emoting a specific way. Does the quality of a movie depend on the intellect of the director?
I think more the budget than the intellect.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Firstly, we believe that what a director wants always happens. That's not the case.
Okay.
There are many people who decide how things are made and how things should be made. Unless a director is like me, aise hi hoga, and very few get that opportunity to do it exactly as they
the way
want.
You want it. Okay.
Very few auteurs get that option. Most directors actually don't get that option, and then it ends up becoming more business than art. In most circumstances, even when the director is actually quite intelligent and sensitive, empathetic, everything. So yeah, budget actually decides how much we dumb down things.
Okay.
Because if you have a star who himself is taking 70 crores or 100 crores for that film, which means the rest of the film is being made in another 300 crores. So if you are making a film for 300-400 crores, you want so many people to watch it and understand it and enjoy it that you can't make it intelligent, you can't make it subtle, you can't make it a certain way. You have to spoon feed at times, and you have to make emotions very broad and not nuanced. So you have to have back to wall to wall plastered music in the film. You can't have one moment of silence. So all of these decisions are more like budget related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw an interview of Vicky Kaushal speaking about the Chava movie, where he said the brief that he got from the director was, be a lion, speak like a lion, think like a lion, walk like a lion. With this brief, what is actually happening in his mind for him to become that character?
I mean, firstly, you start believing that strength a lot. And I have worked with Vicky. He's very intuitive, very, very intuitive as an actor. So he's also somebody who does not take himself too seriously. And I think that's very important as an actor, to not start believing in your own myth. So he's not one of those actors. He's one of those people who just is coming to do the job and do that job best. And then the rest, he is quite gifted. So I think he must have probably started believing that he is like that. He would have started waking up like that, eating food like that, just trying to inculcate that in his everyday behavior in bits and pieces, little by little. And you have to keep doing it till you believe you are that. And once you believe you are that, then nothing can shake you.
So now that he's believed he is that, in his next movie, let's say it's a very subtle or a mellowed down version, how does he become that character after that?
Because now he's doing the exact same process to feel the other.
So that feeling and becoming that lion, do you think that aspect is still there inside of him?
So every part that you do, like some percentage of it can remain in you.
Okay.
And what smart actors do and intelligent actors do, they always pick one thing from their character into their life.
Okay.
And probably leave one or two things about themselves through that character.
Okay.
So that's what a smart actor would do. And a lot of times these things also happen very subconsciously without you being aware of what you're picking and what you're leaving.
So sometimes we may not have a choice with what we're picking and what we are leaving.
Sometimes, yes, but we should. Because if we live with a little awareness, then we'll know what we're picking and what we're leaving. And it's important to know what you're picking and what you're leaving.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you this question about Ranveer Singh after Padmavat, right? That role that he did. I mean, he said it took some time for him to get out of the depression, especially of doing that role. How does an actor process that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it does affect you. There was another actress who I worked with who also felt the same. She had done a film, and when she came to train with me for another film, very good actress, she was quite low.
Mm.
So first 3 days were not about training her for the new part. First 3 days were about getting her out of that depression that her older character had given her.
Okay.
So sometimes it happens that you take it, but it's important to meet people, talk to people, share, maybe even see a therapist.
Okay.
When you do something very intense, to know how much of it has remained in you, and to be a little aware of who was I before I started this part and who am I now, and what change has come. And if that change is not good, to shake it out by trying and doing different things. Like I would say, if you say maybe this actress could have gone with her 3 best friends to Ibiza and partied for 5 days. Maybe that can help. Or you just start a very strong workout routine every single day and release it through your workout.
Okay. So you've also worked with a lot of South actors like Shiva Karthikeyan, Aishwarya Lakshmi. You've worked with a lot of North Indian actors. What do you think is the difference between the way they approach acting?
Not so much of a difference actually.
Okay.
I would say actors are similar everywhere. One thing that, again, excuse me for using the term South India and clubbing everyone together, but one thing that I do find different between the North and the South is, in general, people in the South are more humble and modest. And sometimes that can also become like an act because you're supposed to be humble and modest.
Okay.
And that kind of comes in your way. And in the North, I would say the exact opposite is the problem, which is too confident sometimes, or thinking that you know it all. So I think these two aspects I notice sometimes that are different in North Indians and South Indians in general, and hence also in the actors.
Okay. So when you work with the actors, so for example, you've been doing this for so many years now. The way you approach them at this point of time when they come for a workshop and how you used to approach them a few years back, has it been the same or has it changed?
It's always been very neutral. Only the first time I worked with a star, I was a little nervous, which was in 2011 or 12 with Imran Hashmi. It's the first time I did a workshop with a star who'd already done 30 films. Going in, I was a bit nervous, but the moment I went in, he was so kind and so receptive that he became an actor for me after 2 hours. And after that, I've never felt it.
Who's easier to work with, a new star or somebody who's done so many films?
Depends on the person, actually. There have been people who are new but very difficult, can be difficult. And then there are actors who are stars, very big, very good actors, and very easy to work with. So it's more a person thing, not a function of how successful or not successful you are.
So you also have worked with a lot of star kids, as in the parents have already been stars and now they're also pursuing the same career. So I have a very different opinion about it, because if I were a doctor and I had a hospital of my own, and if my child was a doctor, I would welcome my child to my hospital. So people are okay with that. But when it comes to star kids, there's so much hate and there's so much trolling. Why do you think that is happening? On a psychological level, we'll talk about what is happening with the stars a little later, but I want to understand what is happening with the public.
I believe a lot of this was created for a purpose. Nepotism has existed in film industry even 10 years back, 15 years back. But when a Ranbir Kapoor was launching, people did not cry about so much, right?
Correct.
It did not happen so much that time. It happened more in the last 3 to 4 years.
Yes.
Because I feel that has coincided with something else that has been going on. And that something else is that a certain regime of the country is wanting to control Bollywood.
Okay.
And they also have the smartest PR and social media machinery. They can make us believe anything they want. And they also have a huge troll army to achieve it.
And how is it affecting the actors?
Very badly. They enter the room thinking they are shit.
Okay.
They are entering the workshop or the set not believing in themselves at all, and thinking that they are here only because of their parents and not because they have anything in them.
Mm.
So yeah, a lot of the work that I do with these people is also about just making them believe and allowing them to see how things are.
Do they feel guilty for the privilege that they have?
100%.
Okay.
A lot. Like, for example, someone like a Janvi talks about it all the time, even in interviews.
Yeah.
And even when I was working with her, even on one-on-one, she had those very, very. And the reason I'm bringing her name up is only because
She's spoken about
she's
it.
already
Yes.
spoken about it. I won't take other names. So yeah, she has spoken to me also about it extensively, and she talks about it in interviews also extensively. You just can't believe that you can be good, even if you are.
Mm.
It's very hard. So yeah, the burden of privilege lies really heavy on those young shoulders. Very, very heavy.
Does that actually affect their psyche on a different level?
Yes,
It does?
It does.
Okay.
And like you said, we may say, why are you launching the sun? But tell me if, I mean, just taking that name because that's the biggest name, not to say that they are like that. I mean, it's only the sons of Ambani who will become the CEOs of the company, not the most deserving manager in the company. It's so obvious, right? It's the same with films. It's the same with any culture. It's the same with any vocation, any business. So nepotism exists, but it's not exclusive to Bollywood. It exists in the world, across humanity, in every business.
What was the last Indian movie that you watched?
Yeah, I don't watch enough Hindi films. The one that I remember and I loved was 12th Fail.
12th Fail.
Yeah,
Okay.
the one that I loved actually. Like a new film that I loved would be 12th Fail. I thought after such a long time, I saw a film which was made like cinema, which had the therav and actually going through details of what it is to be a student and a struggling student. Because now it's like, it's very difficult to watch films because the times we are existing in, the platforms, the studios, they're also forcing us to next moment. Like everybody's pressurizing the filmmaker to like just jump to the next moment because you will lose your audience will get bored, and put more music. It's crazy how things are working. They just don't allow you to breathe. Like अगर तुमने 15 सेकंड का साइलेंस डाल दिया, everybody around you will start panicking. From studios to producer to everyone is panicking around you that why do we have 20 seconds of this person only looking there? ये तो 5 सेकंड में establish हो गया ना कि वो सोच रहा है, अब हम 20 सेकंड क्यों लगा रहे हैं इसमें? So it's a bit chaotic. It's crazy how things are right now. So it was just such a relief to see a film like 12th Fail where there was no background music. There was, but such nicely, minimally used. I still remember this scene where he goes to meet the girl in some hill station, and towards the end, they treated the whole scene in sound design. Whole scene. They didn't put BGM. And it works so well because of that. Because had you put music, I would have, I'll be just like neutral and numb to it because we hear music all the time in films plastered back on wall to wall. Suddenly from a city environment, I'm in a hill station environment, and now I'm with the hill station sounds. That sound only subliminally taking me to that space now. As an audience, you're not realizing, but it has already taken you there because of that sound.
So the goal of a music is to do that, but the silence equally does the same thing.
Goal of music is sometimes to accentuate certain emotions.
Okay.
Whether it is to thrill you or make you melancholic or make you happy. Music is very dangerous actually in film because it manipulates you all the time. And this is a struggle a filmmaker always has. At least some filmmakers always have within themselves. I also have it sometimes, that the moment I know I put music in this moment, I know audience is going to feel this. Now I'm manipulating them to feel it. you're eventually manipulating the audience to feel everything as a filmmaker.
Okay, correct.
You are deciding when they're going to cry, when they're going to laugh.
Mm.
That's what you're essentially doing. That's why filmmakers think they're gods, because they decide what an audience is going to feel at any given point in time, right? But some manipulations seem forced and some manipulations seem organic.
Right.
And that is a question every filmmaker needs to ask themselves if they're being very true and if they don't have those pressures of making it whatever. Like that question you asked me, that I told you, it's depend not on intelligence but on budget. So whether to put music or not put music, when to put it and how much to put it, these are calls that have to not be taken lightly.
Okay.
But we actually nowadays just put it. Just put it so that there's something happening, because maybe we are assuming that it is that person who's not interested looking at his phone in the cinema hall or at home and eating their popcorn or whatever. And unless it's like unless that is there for the entire 2 hours, they're gonna walk away. I think that's insecurity we also have as makers, and we have to let go of this insecurity that when you tell a story which kind of works and there is some truth in it and people can watch, people can stay. It is becoming tougher and tougher and tougher. I just heard about that right now. The biggest competition that all the big platforms have is actually a new form of storytelling, which has started, I think, in Korea or Japan, somewhere, I think Korea, where they're releasing 50 episodes of 1 minute each.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So this is where we're going, because people consume reels. Now they are more interested in watching 50 episodes of 1 minute. So what happens to the long format, we don't know. We don't know where storytelling and narrative is going to move in the future. So it's a very tricky time for us. I think social media has, especially reels, have changed the game.
Do you think it's easy for a newcomer to crack it in the industry right now than how it used to be a few years back, or is it very difficult right now?
It's easier.
Okay.
It's easier because there are more formats.
Why do you think there is so much hate against people who are very successful?
For some reason, and I don't know why people have not done anything about it. When I say people, I mean governments only. Somehow, everybody's gotten legitimacy to say whatever they want to say on social media and not have consequences. I feel like social media has revealed who we are as people and what we are made of. We are revealing that we have zero empathy. We are revealing that we can be cruel and we can have fun at the cost of others. We're revealing this about ourselves as human beings. Many of us, not all of us, but many of us are revealing that about ourselves. And somehow social media has given you that license to go ahead and do it.
What does it actually say about the psychology of people who are doing that? Are they coming from a place where I don't have what you have, so I'll make you feel miserable? Or is it coming from a place that I'm already miserable, I'll do everything to make you feel miserable?
Yeah, I think one aspect of it was shown very nicely in Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, where Gaurav Adarsh's character goes and trolls Karan Johar because he feels that he is nowhere in life. So yes, one is that it was shown very nicely also in the film. And a lot of it has got to do with this false sense of superiority that a lot of us believe about ourselves. That we are holier than thou, we are bigger than you, we are smarter than you. Just this fake sense of ego that everybody wants to believe about themselves, that they are better than others.
Okay. So I feel I'm better than you, so I'll put you down.
Yes.
So this is coming out of curiosity, because I tend to ask everybody, when you're just sitting idle and not particularly doing anything, what do you think about?
Nothing.
It's difficult for me to understand when you say nothing. But if at all you were to just be in
mind is always thinking.
Huh.
So I'm also thinking like everybody else, but I don't let it define me, if that makes sense.
What is that your mind is constantly thinking about? Is it thinking about life? Is it thinking about movies? Is it thinking about your career? What is it thinking about?
It's thinking about the day.
That's it.
and the week and the month.
Okay.
Most of the times, that's what the mind thinks. Whatever we have set our intentions to, things that are to be done. Like just in today's meditation, and I meditated before coming, I had so many thoughts. Some days there are lesser thoughts, some days there are more thoughts, some days there are zero thoughts also. Today I had quite a few thoughts, but none of them bothered me. Not even one. Because while those thoughts were there, I was not with the thoughts. I was somewhere else. So you can reach a space where both can exist simultaneously, where the thoughts can just keep running and passing and running and passing, but it has got nothing to do with you. It's when we believe everything that our mind is saying, that's when it becomes a problem. But if you can just detach yourself from your mind and truly become a witness to it, it's almost as if you are not Gayatri. You are something else. But Gayatri has a lot of responsibilities and dreams and ambitions that she is going to achieve, which is also a part of you. But just because it is a part of you does not mean that it is you. That is your duty to this lifetime. So anytime a duty is given to us, we do it well. So do your duty well. Don't attach your good or bad or right or wrong with it.
Is this what is called detached attachment?
To be detached even from yourself, not just from others. Others' detachment is also important. Not to be detached with your work, with your partners, all that is important. I think the bigger detachment is to be detached with yourself only, your conditioned self, your lifetime self. That is like the bigger one. That is the more important one.
What is your goal for this lifetime?
I don't decide that. My job is to surrender, and then the universe will take me where I'm meant to. See, it's when we start saying, this is my goal, then my ego wants to decide where I want to reach. But once you, which it was, like I said, for 17 years, my ego wanted me to become a successful filmmaker who people say, wow, what a filmmaker. I wanted to hear that. I so desperately wanted to somebody watch my film and say, wow, you're so amazing. Because that's where my identity was. Right. But once I've given that up, now there are very few things that I'm deeply identify myself with. So I'm becoming more and more free, and also realizing that 17 years I gave to one thing, which is more than 1/3 of my life. I gave to one thing and it did not pan out the way it did. So might as well just not decide.
So there are actually certain things that we do in life that give us so much joy in the process of doing it, not for us to get anywhere because of it. What are the things like that for you? You just enjoy the process of doing it every day.
I love writing.
Okay.
I love the process of writing. In fact, I think writing saved me. Okay. I don't think I would be alive if writing was not there. Because like I said, if for 17 years you want to become a filmmaker, the path I found was, okay, I'll write my scripts and then pitch them and hope that somebody makes them or I get some actors for it, which didn't happen so much. Very, very few times it happened. But it is writing that kind of suffice the creative need to express. Because as a trainer, as a teacher, it is creative, but it is not creative at a very personal level. It is more in the space of being a giver and a healer, and that kind of a space, where my own creative juices are not flowing, being expressed, which writing allowed me that. So every time I used to finish a script, or even not just finished, every time I wrote a script, I used to feel worthy. Like when I've written my 4-5 hours for the day, I felt worthy for that day, that I have I've made something for today, whether it is 5 pages or 10 pages.
Okay. So when it comes to creativity, this is what I've believed about great musicians, including A.R. Rahman, Ilaiyaraaja, and everyone. You tune yourself to something and you have a download of energy that is coming. Is that true even for writing?
Yes, it is. But even in that process, your ego can sometimes come in the way.
Okay.
You may want to write something that will sell, or you may want to create something that is good. And if you start with that thought and feeling, the likelihood of it reaching where it's meant to, it won't happen. Whereas if you just sit and write with no expectation, no outcome, no desire, no particular way of seeing it, then the chances of something more beautiful and more truthful happening will be there.
When you do things, not just writing anything, for the joy of doing it rather than the outcome, you enjoy the process and the outcome is naturally good,
It's better.
is better. Oh, okay. Got
Not
it.
necessarily good, but
Okay.
better than the otherwise.
Okay. So now that we're speaking about creativity, we all have creative blocks. So my question is, creative blocks truly an absence of ideas, or is it resistance of facing something deeper within ourselves?
It's the second. It's the resistance to something that is not resolved within. Always. I think creative blocks are directly linked to, more often than not, lack of belief in self. More often than not.
Okay.
Because if you believed, you would do. And when you do, you are already creating, whether it is good or bad. But when you're questioning that whole process, even before starting or while you're doing it, then you are the one coming in the way of it. You know
Okay.
how they say writer's block, writer's block. I
Yes.
sit and I stare at my blank page for 2 hours and nothing happens. It's because we are starting with just so much expectation and so much particular way of it panning out or reaching somewhere, that we just get so paralyzed with that outcome that we don't even write the first word. Whereas, what were you supposed to do for that day? Just write the first thought that comes in your head. Maybe that's all that was needed. Then there's no writer's block, right? Write whatever. Write 2 pages which you will never use in your life. Write 100 pages that you'll never use in your life. They will never end up in a book or in a screenplay. But those 100 pages will give you something.
Literally, this is what Bhagavad Gita talks about. The more attached you are to an outcome, the more miserable you are.
Yes.
The less attached we are to anything in life, the more free we are.
Yes.
And the more free we are, we have more energy to create in life. Wow.
You can actually literally summarize life in just 3-4 sentences. One is not to have identities, not to have attachments, and one is to not be in resistance and to be in acceptance and to surrender. I think just between these 5 words, 90% of life is summarized. Literally.
So while you're saying this, I'm thinking about myself in my early 20s, how much I wanted people to perceive me a specific way and how much I've gone out of my way to do things for people. It was such a burden. And I believe people also sense that energy about you.
Yes.
When I want to be liked more by you, you like less.
Yes.
And when I really am nonchalant about it, I'm like, it is not even coming from a space of I like myself, because people who genuinely like themselves are not thinking, do I like myself or do I not like myself? They're genuinely doing what they want to do. And that energy is very attractive.
Yeah.
But for actors, right? So many people love them, the followers, the money, the fame, and all of that. Do you think it takes a hit on this, the process of surrendering?
It can also. I mean, if you look at it, why would one want to become an actor?
Mhm.
I mean, one of the reasons could be that you discovered the craft and you loved it and you enjoy the process. But those things you actually understand once you start the process.
Correct.
Before starting, if somebody would want to be an actor, very, very subconsciously, there's a deep need of love inside you.
Is it love or validation?
Actually, it's love only, which
Yes.
is fulfilled by the validation that you
Yes.
get.
Yes.
Right? Validation is the execution, love is the need.
Yes.
So it's the need for that love which will come through validation when others give it to you at such a mass scale, which probably you already had within you. That's why you wanted to be that. So a lot of actors have a need to be loved.
Don't you think all of us have that need?
We do, but some have it more than others. I'm just saying, more people with a larger need and more need for love are more likely to become actors.
Now that they're getting so much love from people, it's not enough?
No,
No?
it's not, because the need that we thought would be fulfilled by something outside can never be fulfilled by something outside.
Exactly.
So all of us who think that when we reach a certain milestone and we will feel happy, love, blah, 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 whatever our goal was, all we do is when we reach that goal, we shift the milestone.
Exactly.
All of us just keep shifting the milestone. So the need will never end. If you said, okay, if my first film wins an Oscar, that's it. I just want to win an Oscar. I just want to win an Oscar. Let's say that is your ultimate goal. And what if it happens in your first film? Where do you go from there? You shift the milestone. Now you want something else.
Yeah.
Whatever that next goal is.
Yeah.
It will shift. It will not end.
Yeah.
Now you'll want even more. And now you're also drawing your sense of self so much from it because that one thing has given you exactly what you needed. So now your attachment to that thing has become even stronger.
Oh, it just keeps dragging you.
Yeah.
I think it was like a month and a half back when I was actually asking myself, there are days in my life when I feel extremely miserable. And I ask myself, what is the common thing that you do in all these days that you feel miserable? I bottled it down to something where I was not being sincere with myself.
Yes.
I was telling myself something, doing something else, projecting something else. It was just too much of a chaos. I couldn't admit to myself what my flaws were. Forget about the flaws. I was not just being genuine and sincere with myself. Have I overcome that? No. But just the thought of that has given me so much release and freedom.
If I were to say one suggestion, this is the only suggestion, biggest suggestion I would give you, that from this moment in life, only and only be honest to yourself. And everything else will follow. And if that means in your head, again, that's not happening, but if that means in your head hurting somebody or making somebody upset or things like that, be empathetic, but still do it. Be honest to yourself. That's the only thing that's coming in your way, I feel. And that honesty, often you're not able to follow because you're not able to believe enough sometimes in yourself.
Wow. Okay. One last question. I mean, initially in my head, I was like, I'm going to ask you something related to acting, but definitely not that. What is your message for everybody who's listening to this?
I don't know. I think everybody should decide for themselves what they want to do, because nobody else can decide for you. But do know that everything that we do has consequences. Everything that we do. So nothing is without consequence. So whatever you do, ask yourself, what consequence are you inviting as a result of that? And do start some kind of pursuance of truth, some kind of pursuance of finding yourself within and not just looking for yourself outside. Because the answers of all of life are inside of us. The answers are not outside of us. So if we can start looking for those answers within, we will get them. We will start getting them slowly.
It's beautiful. Atul, I'm not surprised about the conversation that we had, because when I was talking to my team member also, Anusha, about us having the podcast, I told her, I don't think it's going to go down the line in acting, movies and all of that as much as it would be otherwise. And it's definitely opened something inside of me. And thank you for this. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for doing this. For every person who's listening to this, their journey towards truth, no matter where they are in life, I think they're going to take the next step forward. And I think that is a whole agenda of me starting the podcast. And this conversation so beautifully fits in there. Thank you so much for doing
Thank you so much. It was so nice to speak to you. And you're very sweet. You're very adorable. You should just start believing it. Sorry, I'm again saying the same thing to you.
No, I think I always believe I'm getting messages from literally every aspect of my life. And this is probably the message that I need for me to go wherever I'm longing to go.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
love this, and thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.